Hi folks, my name is Allie DeAndrea. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am breaking down what saddle hunting is really like so that you can figure out if it is a good fit for you. So I've been saddle hunting now for 7 years. I think this will be my 7th hunting season from the saddle this year. And it's one of my favorite ways to hunt. It really changed the game for me as a hunter, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I've killed 5 bucks over the last 6 years in PA, which is a 1-buck state, from my saddle with my bow on public land. Like, I really love this stuff, and I want to try and help you figure out if this is the right fit for you. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. We're gonna go over both the pros and the cons of saddle hunting because I know them both very well, but we're gonna start with the pros. So the first pro, the biggest pro of saddle hunting is how mobile it is. And this is huge for public land hunters, for people who maybe don't like to hunt in the same spot night after night after night and who want that freedom and mobility to change locations without having 100 tree stands up in all their different spots, and maybe want something a little bit different than a climber. The saddle is really, really lightweight, it's really packable, and it gives you the freedom to hike as far as you want. And if you're like me, the strategy that goes into being able to switch up your spot based on what you see is huge. Not that this is like a strategy video, but one of the ways that I have filled a lot of my tags over the years from the saddle is like getting out there and observing what the deer are doing in a spot like where I think they'll be, and then they always kind of surprise you, and they don't always do what you think they will do. And I can set up with my saddle in a new spot the very next night. Sometimes I'll hunt somewhere in the morning, and then based on what I see, I'll move my location for the evening. It's that instant. And again, it's lightweight, packable, so you can really get out there on public land. Like for public land mobile hunting, the saddle's where it's at. Another pro that kind of piggybacks off of this is your tree selection options. With the saddle, you're climbing up the tree using individual climbing sticks. And then at the top, you're standing on your platform and you have the saddle on and you're tethered to the tree. So the tree can be any size effectively. It can be the size of my arm. It can be the size of a refrigerator. It can be crooked. There can be limbs all over it, which is not ideal, but it can. And it gives you that extra edge to hunt spots where maybe the perfect tree doesn't exist. You can't find a great tree to use a climber, can't find a good tree to hang your hang on. It would be too wonky, like the pitch isn't right. Whatever it is, you can achieve the perfect setup from your saddle. You can adjust the pitch of your platform. You can climb around the limbs. Like, it can be crooked, it can be big, it can be small. You get the point. You can climb any tree. The next pro, and this is a very, very big and important one, the saddle, at least for me, I don't want to speak for everyone, but for me, feels so much safer than a harness with a tree stand or a harness with a climber. With a saddle, the way that you are tethered to the tree and the saddle is putting all of that weight into your hips, it's like you couldn't fall out of it if you tried. And even when you're climbing the tree, you're always attached with your lineman's belt. And as long as you are doing things right, you can be dumb about it. Don't be dumb about it. As long as you are doing things right and using your lineman's belt and attaching your tether before you remove your lineman's belt, you are, in my opinion, in a much safer position than using a safety harness. My husband and I both take safety very, very, very seriously when it comes to climbing trees and hunting out of trees and hunting in general, everything. So this is something like truly from the bottom of my heart I feel like the saddle is so much safer, and that for me just gives me a lot of peace of mind. The next pro is you can shoot 360 around your tree. This is so much fun, and again, from the strategy perspective, it changes the way that you may set up in a particular location, because if you're a right-handed shooter like myself, your left side is always going to be your dominant side. That's where ideally you want the animal to give you a strong side shot. But again, the deer, they love to do things that you don't think they're going to do. You can turn and shoot 360 around the tree. And there are different ways to take your weak side shot, but you have options. I feel like, at least for me, when I'm hunting out of a regular tree stand, there are big gaps in where I can shoot and where I can't shoot because I physically can't spin around and shoot 360 around the tree. So your shooting lane opportunities with the saddle are definitely another pro. And finally, the last pro that I have on my list is it is straight up just more fun. There is something about the way that it feels to climb up the tree with your saddle, to be in the tree from your saddle, the way that you move, the way that you shoot, the way that you hunt. There's something that just feels so good. It really does. It just feels so good. You can use the tree. This is actually kind of another pro, but you can use the tree to hide yourself from the deer. So if you position yourself right and the deer come out a certain way, you can effectively hide behind the tree, get ready to draw, and then have your shooting opportunity. I think there's just something about the way that it feels to be up in a tree in a saddle and the opportunity to move and be mobile and be strategic. It is, for me, just way more fun. But like anything good in life, there are always some cons. So let's jump into some of the cons of saddle hunting. Number one is the learning curve. There is a lot to learn when it comes to saddle hunting. It is absolutely not something that you can buy and expect to go out hunting the next day. You need to spend some time practicing. You need to get comfortable climbing with your climbing sticks, using your lineman's belt, tethering yourself to the tree, and getting comfortable in the saddle, especially with your shooting positions. Like I was talking about earlier, it's amazing that you can shoot 360 around the tree, but that doesn't just happen without you learning how to do it. You see what I'm saying? So the learning curve, I think, is the biggest con of saddle hunting. If you're going to take this on, know that you have to have the time and the headspace to want to learn how to do a new skill and to be okay with not being good at it at first. It might take you a while to start climbing quickly. It might take you a while to really get it figured out of exactly how you should set up in your different spots depending on how the deer are going to move through. So the learning curve, it's number one. Number two is comfort. And I kind of cringe when I say that because I am so comfortable in my saddle, but comfort is very personal. So just because I'm comfortable doesn't mean you are going to be comfortable. And I think, kind of vibing off of number one on the con list, you almost need to learn how to be comfortable in the saddle. So like knee pads is something, you would never wear knee pads if you were hunting out of a regular tree stand, but you absolutely need knee pads or some kind of padding on the tree in order to keep yourself comfortable when you're sitting up there in your saddle. That's something that you wouldn't know, like you have to learn that. You also have to learn how to get the saddle to fit you right. If you're wearing the saddle too high up, like closer to where your pants normally sit, you're probably not going to be very comfortable. You need to wear it a little bit lower than you would think, and that really gives you the hammock feel whenever you're up in that tree. So little things like that, you kind of have to learn it. The height of your tether, it's going to depend on your body type, your body weight, your height, all of these things. to come together to get you comfortable in the saddle. And I'm confident that you can get there, but it might take some practice and some learning and some tweaking to get it just right for you. So comfort's number 2. Number 3, you have to be fairly physically fit and or athletic to be able to saddle hunt. It's not something, if you're super clumsy, if you can't like lift your leg up high to be able to climb the tree, if you don't have the strength, you really have to be comfortable bear hugging the tree. Now, you are, of course, always attached with your lineman's belt as you're climbing, but there's a lot of like, you have to grab the tree as you climb. And if you're not strong enough to maybe do a pull-up, you may or may not be able to saddle hunt. Like, there is some strength and physical athleticism, if you will, that goes into it. If you're older and you struggle with things like that, it might not be a good fit for you. The next con is setting up and tearing down in the same hunt. And what I mean by that is you go out to hunt, you set up your sticks, your platform, you hunt, and then after that hunt is over, you tear everything back down and leave. This isn't always that big of a deal, but if you're doing it hunt after hunt after hunt, and if you're new to this and you don't yet have your speed and your organization down, it's going to be frustrating for you at first. Especially, again, if you're doing that hunt after hunt after hunt. You can work around this though. You can leave your sticks and platform out and sort of treat it like a tree stand. Another workaround to that will save you a little bit of money. You can have sticks out, but keep your platform with you. So whenever you go to one of your locations, you just bring your platform with you, and it takes 2 seconds to hang up the platform. And then you bring the platform with you and you're done. So you don't have to buy a platform for every single tree. You just have a bunch of sets of sticks out. You know what I mean? There's different ways to do it. There's different, methods depending on where you're at and how you like to hunt. The whole point of saddle hunting is really the mobile aspect of it. So all of that blabber to say that one of the cons is setting up and tearing down, like if you let it be. You got to practice, and you can work around it if you want. And the last con on my list is that saddle hunting is just not ideal for everyone's hunting style. So I think the biggest example here is if you own private land or have access to private land. Most of the time on private land, you can easily hang tree stands and hang-ons, and you're not hiking super far into the woods. You're not battling hunting pressure and like needing to move spots and be mobile in that way. You kind of have your spots picked out, and tree stands are, going to be the most common option for private land. I would argue though that some of you guys, even on private land, would still love saddle hunting just for the pure fun of it and the challenge of it. But I can see that saddle hunting might not be ideal for private land, for example. You're not hiking far, and you can have permanent stand locations. So to condense all of that information down, I think that you really should consider saddle hunting if you are someone who hunts public land, if you're someone who loves to change spots, hunt after hunt, if you're someone who hikes really far to get deep into the woods to your little honey holes. I think for all of that, saddle hunting is phenomenal. It is so much fun. It is safe. It is just it's, at least for me, it has completely changed the way that I view whitetail hunting. Like before saddle hunting, I was hunting out of tree stands that other people had hung for me. And I would basically walk to the tree stand, climb up in it, hunt, climb down. That was it. There was no strategy and exploring and everything that I loved about Western hunting in terms of the freedom of being on public land and not having to go to the same spot every night and being able to explore so freely. I get all of that from being able to saddle hunt on public land. I have the freedom to make my own decisions and choose what tree I'm hunting in and be so strategic with it. If I see deer moving on my hunt, I can move and I can make a play, basically. Like it really changed the course for me as a hunter. And I'm so thankful for it. And I'm really, really passionate about it. And I really, really love it. And I know that other people can feel these same things that I'm feeling from it. And that's not to say that I don't also love tree stands. Like there is a time and a place for a tree stand, and ooh, does it feel good to be able to just climb up in a tree stand and hunt. Like, yes, I still love that, but man, saddle hunting is just like, makes me feel so free, makes me feel so good, and it's absolutely my favorite way to hunt. It's a really fun challenge, and just like, it's an incredible thing. So that is it for this video. I hope this helped you figure out if saddle hunting is potentially right for you. Again, it has changed my life so much that I just want to help more people discover this, you know? I have a lot of videos of me saddle hunting already on my page. If you're interested in like seeing a little bit more of what it's actually like. I also have quite a few educational videos, and if you have questions, any questions about saddle hunting, leave them in the comments below. I'll either answer you or I'll put that information into a video. I'll be making more educational content on saddle hunting. So any questions you have, put it in the comments down below. But that is it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.